What's up? So, back from the Riftbound 5K this past weekend. Kind of gonna go through it. I decided to play Army Pyke, Pyke in general. When you go in, so this list was made by Sora. I did swap out. Only change I had in my deck was -1 switcheroo. I added in the purple Annie, which seemed pretty helpful in a couple Like, it seemed really helpful versus the Kaisa I played, but outside of that, it kind of I did end up getting the third switcheroo, and if I had been practicing all my games with third switcheroo, I probably would have just played it. But the Annie seems like you just win more, honestly. Like on games where I falling star and I Annie grab back the falling star, like it just starts to get to be such an expensive play. Like you're like almost 6 runes in, but being able to pick up the Annie and play it down whenever is kind of nice with Pyke, just the legend ability. But overall, did drop Baron, so that was cool. Didn't get to play as much as I want, so let me get into it. So this is the tournament on Rift decks. So if you go down, top 16 was prizing. I finished 36th, and I say finished. I'll get to it, but had the spiciest Pyke list. Maybe even let's see if I had the spiciest deck of all. No, did not have the spiciest deck. I was 4th spiciest deck, but yeah, Vex. Okay, this Vex deck did well, but I think I saw someone playing Poppy, and it was like a mid-range build, so I thought that was interesting. But just figured might as well show that. Okay, but into the placements, I placed 36th. Going and I got top deck open so you can see kind of everything. So finished 3 and 2. So I did end up dropping after after round 5, and I'll get into why and everything. Just it was kind of lame. So, but going through round 1. So round 1, I hit Kyle Shelton, and if you're like, oh man, that name seems a little familiar. Why did I just see that name? Well, you saw that name. He finished first. He was first place with Rengar. And let me just tell you, that matchup felt terrible. I will say, I think I'm the only person he played all day that he 2-0'd. And he just, like, it was not what I was ready for. He's a very serious guy, it felt like. Serious guy when we're playing and, like, when I sat down. He did have his best of. He was best of Hartford for Rengar, so he finished 19th at Hartford as well. Obviously not under the name Kyle Shelton. He's under Mom Sky. But he had his best of. I didn't realize it was his best of until after the match. And he was like, oh yeah, he's like, I was best of Rengar in Hartford. And he was like, I was best of Yasuo at Atlanta. And he said he kind of swapped to Rengar because he missed best of Yasuo at Vancouver and was like, I'm just going to play a good deck. And so he swapped to playing good decks. And it's obviously working for him. So, but Kyle went on to win it all. I did lose to him. He was on Rengar, played Aiden in round 2, beat him 2-0. And he was on Leona, and it just felt like I had everything the whole game. I think game 1 I dropped Baron. Game 2, it was just like every time he put Aurelia down both games, and I just had Falling Star, and I was like, it's gonna hurt to pay this cost, but I can just kill your Aurelia, no worries, because you're all tapped out. So felt pretty easy, and I think Aiden's a local. I had seen him at one of the shops. At the shop I did the skirmish at in Spirit Forged. I say that like because I haven't done enough skirmishes, but I saw him there. I was like, I've recognized this dude. But I think he plays Pokemon there, and I've used to play Pokemon a little bit over there. I like the judge. So round 3. So round 3, I paired into Liam, and this was cool because Liam was actually at the Nexus Night on Thursday that I was at, and I was talking to him a little bit. He was like in town from Australia, but he's been like traveling all over the place playing and judging and things like that. But we ended up going to time. So game 1, I threw Baron down, and I think it just made everything awkward. I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't feel great. Like, he had Kaisa with some battering rams and stuff. Let me pull up his list. He finished like 28th, so he didn't do much. Yeah, here's his list. And I guess I could go through everyone's list, but we'll go through Liam's list. So he had the battering rams, which is a card I just hadn't seen in a long time. Hadn't seen that at all. But I threw down my Baron, and then it forced him to go like double battering ram, or he went Watcher and then went double battering ram to trade with the Baron. And I mean, he killed it, but I ended up just having too much. The Baron just put a whole spin on the game that wasn't easy. And then game two, he won pretty handily. He was running this like detonate with the sprite fountains, and then he would detonate the gold as well to kind of like draw extra cards. So he was filling his hand pretty quick. And then game two, it actually came down to he had a hold. He had to have time warp. He had time warp, and I had 2 up, and I didn't have the hard bargain that time because I had hard bargained him actually like quite a few times. I hit like progress day hard bargain, so it just kind of like shuts off the whole turn. And then game three, coming into me, like it was like I was like I can win here. I think I was at like 5 points or something. I was at 5, I think, and I was like, if I hit stack deck, find Baron, because I had 11 runes, I was like, I got this. I was like, this is game. I was like, I might, and it wasn't 100% game, but I was like, but then I can drop Baron, push myself to that 7th, boost my guys up, and then we can go in, and we're a little more comfortable. But that was my thought. So ended up missing Baron on that, and I even had another stack deck, and I was like, I'm gonna be real sad if the second stack deck hits it, but it didn't as well, so it didn't matter. But then we end up going to time, and he's just like wiping my whole board the whole time. And basically it comes back to me, and we're basically going to tie. And I was just like, I didn't really think that a win or a tie really helps anyone. As much as like I figured this event is won by a 3-1, by like a 1-loss person, if not an undefeated player. But I ended up just giving him the win, because had we not gone to time, he would have had the win on board, because he did solidify like a hold, and I had no way to bounce both units. So I just felt like I don't really care that much. I didn't see myself staying the whole tournament, and then that was kind of also played into my thought process there. I do have that whole game recorded. I did see round 2 that someone else was recording, and so then I was like, oh, I can record. So I started recording round 3, and I was excited to record. But then we go into round 4. I win 2-0 because my opponent no-shows, so they never showed up. And then, so I waited around. I was like, oh, this is kind of lame. This sucks. Opponent no-showed. And it makes sense because, like, once you get to 1-2, you know, you're going to have people dropping and things like that. They don't really see their way back into the prizing. You know, it's top 16 prizing. And then, because once you get to that bottom, it's like you're just hitting people who are on their way out. And so it's like basically someone's probably going to catch a no-show, or someone who's dropped but just didn't drop. But end up waiting it out, get to my next round. And I pair into Brian, and Brian decides he's done playing as well, and he no-shows. So I was just like, oh my god, I was like, another hour of sitting around waiting. Just didn't seem like there were only 2 rounds left, so I could have stuck it out. But the tournament I thought was going to start at 9, because that's what they had posted. And I think that was like, they just copy and pasted the 25K event into the 5K one, but it actually started at 10, so I was kind of annoyed. I got there earlier than I needed to, and then we started a little later than I wanted, so it was probably around like 2 already, and I was like, when this game is over, or it's past 2. But I was like, okay, we're gonna wait. It was cool though, where I did sit at the end of in round 5. I did sit next to the Summoners Weekly guy, one of the Summoners Weekly guys, Caleb. So I was watching him play Yi for a little bit, and so that was kind of cool. I was like, there's a lot of familiar faces at these events. I mean, you can pretty much, and I will say it was cool because there's only about 100 people playing the event, so you do see a lot of the people, the big names, kind of just sitting there playing it out. But basically, round 5 hits. I go get my win. I drop because I'm like, I'm not gonna wait around for another round 6. Just for nothing. Like, there's really no point. Looking at it now, though, had it not been maybe so late, and then like had I gotten to actually play, I'd be more encouraged to keep playing. But top 16 got prizing, so can't really tell by the standings. But if you go down to Xander and look at his record, so his record was 5-2. So I was 3-2. So truly, if I just win my games out, I would have been potentially competing. Like, if I had won both my games, I would be at 15 points with these 3. So like 15 points puts you at 18th all the way through 7th. So then it just comes down to opponent win rate, game win rate, all that kind of stuff. But is what it is. Didn't stick it out. It's more like waiting around, not playing. Kind of stinks. And then, so not a lot of gameplay from the tournament. I will say, like, ranking my opponents, toughest to hardest. Kyle, Liam. Kyle would be the toughest. Liam, and then Aiden. Aiden was still, I think, kind of new. I don't think he plays a ton. But either way, cool to play them all. It was cool to play. Like, this is the kind of players, like, I wanted to, like, okay, playing against Kyle, like, that showed me, like, okay, yeah, my deck might be decent, but playing into someone who knows what they're doing on a good deck, I'm gonna get smoked. So I got smoked pretty quick. He felt like he had just everything, the whole game, and I just wasn't getting a lot. I didn't get going fast, or I wasn't able to just build up a big board. But that was the tournament. Hope that kind of recaps it. I did see some people there who had like said they'd see me on stream. I did appreciate that, them pulling up. It's like George, I think Thomas and Brent, I think were their names. So it's cool to meet you guys. It was cool to I think I saw like a lot of like people I've seen in the like YouTube space overall, but really cool event. I definitely would go again. It does get me excited. I will say this was like a nice way to like not play a major tournament, like a big regional, but also like get what I wish was quality practice. I don't feel like what I got was quality overall. So kind of unfortunate, but what are you going to do? And maybe my last 2 rounds I would have paired into someone like insanely good. Who knows? But that was my tournament run. I'm probably putting Pyke on the shelf or in the binder for now. It was fun to play. I think I'm just going to kind of do what Kyle did and just play a good deck. So I got Diana built. Might run that. Might run Sprite Ornn to Nexus this week. We'll just see how I'm feeling. But hope you enjoyed. Peace.